thank you so much for joining me. I'm actually really excited because when we first met, your story and just hearing your background on the reason why you serve the way you do just blew my mind. And then to experience what you do, just I'm excited to have you on board. So I'm going to hand it straight over to you. And yeah, just tell us a little bit about who you are, what led you to where you are today.
Well, okay. So let's see. I was born. No, we won't go that way. Um, now, where I am today is trying to work with parents, helping parents get through tough struggles with anxiety, with OCD, with different anxiety disorders. And kind of where it began is I would have never imagined myself here in this place necessarily, maybe 20 or so years ago. But it was because of my oldest daughter who went through an experience that I wouldn't really want to put on any parent necessarily. But as I look back at the experience, it has led me and taught me so much that I can now help others. But back, it was around 2010, I believe. My then daughter, at 8 years old, went through a complete personality change and was caught up in OCD and to a very extreme method. And I tell my story not trying to get pity and to say, oh, poor Don kind of thing, or oh, poor, my family, but to help people, one, to understand that we've been through what we've been through, to know that, that we learned from on the job training, you might say, by going through such a horrific experience, and also to inspire others to know that you can make it through that, you can survive, that I'm still here. And I've been through a lot. To say I'm still here, it means a lot to me, because I've been through a lot. Anyway, with my daughter, like I said, it happened one Saturday. Well, I say one Saturday night, but as we looked at it, there were signs of it before this. But this one Saturday night, like I said, she was about 8, I think almost going on 9, had a friend over for a sleepover. And these two were having a great time. They were really good friends. It was her BFF at the time. And about 9 o'clock, my daughter went to the bathroom, and something changed inside that bathroom. She came out. You got to understand, this was a little girl who was just this jovial, daddy's little girl, exciting, active, just a fun-spirited child. And when she came out of that bathroom, she was a terrified, scared little girl. And that was the night that OCD attacked our house and attacked her and took her over. And it was downhill from there. She became a very violent, abusive, scared, anxiety-ridden child that was very hard to deal with. And we went through so many nights of battles and long nights of extreme, breaking, violence, abused. She liked to beat me up. Now, I tell this story with her full knowledge of me telling it. She actually talks about it now, which she wouldn't have been able to do at the time. But it was a struggle and a half. And at the same time, about a year into all of this mess, I mean, this really rough stuff went on for probably at least 2 years or more, until we were able to start calming it down and changing it. But in the midst of all that, I also had a heart attack. So it almost took me down. It was a pretty massive thing too. And it was, like I said, at those times, it was at times where there was no feeling of hope. It felt like it was never going to end. It felt like I'd never have my daughter back. She became this kind of a zombie at certain stages where just a blank look in her eye. There were times when there was a period of time when she couldn't touch us. We couldn't touch her. She couldn't touch anything. And so it was we had to dance around a lot of stuff. But I made it through it. And there were glimmers, little slivers of hope in there that we could look at and give us something to go on with.
Yeah.
And those were
to cut through there. When you talk about those little glimmers of light, those moments of hope, just for viewers and those watching, you know, and your story is, I'm listening here, just is so empowering that you as a family unit are now sharing this personal journey. What did those little glimmers look like for those listening, so that if they feel like everything's coming to an end, that they've lost their child or someone that they love dearly?
Oh, they were moments, a lot of times, you know, maybe 5 minutes, where all of a sudden it felt like the OCD went away, and my daughter would be back and would all of a sudden start apologizing and crying, and I might be able to even hug her, which, like I said, for about 8-month period of time, we couldn't touch her. But there were these moments, and I don't know what broke it, but all of a sudden it would be like a snap out, and she'd be back as my daughter again. Or there were, you know, like I said, I can remember one of those times was, and we were listening. I don't know, Philip Phillips had this song called Home, and every time, even now, I listen to it, I cry. But something about that song cracked her out of it for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, I can't remember exact. And she hugged me and said, "I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm sorry for all the things I did to you."
Yeah.
You know, she apologized like crazy.
Donald,
and then turned around, you know, after that little time period, and went right back in, you know, kind of went back, got angry again. And there were times with we had a neighbor's dog that she liked, and my neighbor would bring it over. And when that dog would get there, the OCD would disappear, just again while she was with the dog. So it was those kind of moments, those little breaks in the OCD that were like, oh, okay, I can breathe, and there's chance here, there's hope, she's still in there, she's still there, you know. That my wife would have to remind me so many times about being more compassionate, because the little zombie or beast that was in front of me still had my daughter in there, and I had to remember I loved her, not the OCD, you know.
Thank you so much for sharing that and being vulnerable and raw and honest. It's so empowering to learn from someone who has gone through it and who's still going on this journey.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've never personally experienced or met someone that I'm aware of going through that level of OCD, but what it does is it's certainly bringing awareness to the reality and the power of being as honest and open as you possibly can about these experiences. So in terms of this journey and these hopes of glimmer, as you as a family grow and learning in the most organic way, you know, it was brought to your door in what felt like overnight. You see her happy, and then she walks out the bathroom, and it's like this zombie transformation, taking the word zombie from your words. What continued that journey to now becoming more empowering of, right, okay, what do we need to do? How can we, where's your family at now, I suppose, and what's down this path?
Oh, you really want to hear the rest of the story?
If you're comfortable,
well,
again,
yeah.
This is about, are you comfortable with sharing it? And
Oh yeah, no, in fact, it feels good sometimes to talk about it, because it's like, it gets it out of the head somewhat, you know. Well, you know, we were able to get her to a place. OCD is a manageable thing, not a. I don't like the word cure in it. You can get it to a place where it's manageable, and we got her to that place, and we were feeling really good about that. We started feeling like we had a life again. My wife talks about being at the dinner table. She said, all of a sudden that there was a day that she realized, hey, we're having dinner and we're talking without interruption, without somebody going off and blasting off into outer space in anxiety. And I was like, oh yeah, that felt really good. We were able to actually have a peaceful dinner, and that's when we both started to, after the heart attack, I kind of gave up on what I was doing and decided that I wanted to share this passion to help others that possibly are going through the same stuff. And so we started down the path then a little bit of wanting to do more. I went into it kind of full time as far as working with others, helping them get through their anxiety. And then, of course, our youngest, Lexi, started showing the exact same signs. And we went through it. We started through the whole process again. And I can still remember the night that happened, and it was not as rough as we did with the first daughter, but it was still, she woke up one night at 2:00 in the morning, screaming at the top of her lungs, and worried somebody broke into the house and stole one of her stuffed animals. And she was at that time probably about 4, I think it was. And you got to understand, this was a child that was about 1.5 when we went through it the first time, and woke up so many times with my oldest daughter, like jumping into our room, screaming and yelling, breaking something. She woke up with the violence of that and the battles and all that stuff, frightened so many times that I can only imagine that was what led her to start going through it too. And so we started the whole cycle again. And this time, the toughest part about this time was we thought we knew what we were doing. We thought, I remember the first thought was, oh my gosh, I can't go through this again, But then at the same time, I thought, well, we've been through it. We got her through it. This should be a lot easier. Oh my, how naive we were now. It was easier. She wasn't as violent, and she wasn't as aggressive as the first time. But the scenario changed. It was different. And so we had to kind of like relearn how to work with her in doing it. And that was a challenge, and still is. We're still in the midst of that. We've actually found some help, which you and I talked about before. We've gotten some clinics that we're hopefully going to work with that do intensive work, because unfortunately, we haven't been able to get her to the same place that our first child is.
Yeah, I mean,
so we're in that place, and
I just praise you all. And that's not to say it in a patronizing way, and I don't mean that in any way. I think you said something really valuable there, that you'd gone through it once, so when you saw these signs coming up again, there was that, okay, we've got this, we've learned certain methods, so to say, to tackle this. But the proof is in your words. Actually, you can be from the same family, but actually every individual, and again, we've spoken about this before, just that each individual deals with a very similar diagnosis in very different ways. And just, you are now getting, fingers crossed on this, the support that your daughter Lexi now needs. Where are you in all of this? This is your journey. You're a father, a husband, and with many other hats. Where are you at with this journey?
Exhausted, ready to be done with this journey. I see, it scares me to say that sometimes, because I don't want it done in a matter of losing Lexi. I want her in a better place. I want her kind of in that manageable place too. But I always get scared with the wish of having this over with, because I don't think it'll ever really be over. With OCD, I don't think it ever gets over. You learn to manage it. Somebody just recently I did an interview with said it's kind of like a lifelong sentence in a way, which doesn't sound good. I don't like that sounding part of it so much, but it is something that you have to deal with, probably most of your life. But as far as like I said, I'm exhausted. Both my wife and I have gotten to a point of just, okay, enough. I can't do this again and again and again. Because OCD is one that you solve one part of it, it morphs another way. And you get that solved and it morphs another way. And it just keeps morphing until you really get it under control. But we've really my wife now has kind of joined in with me in my practice. And our focus is really helping parents to do it differently, to find, what we talk about is meeting them where they are and taking them where they want to be. And, we use different methods. We have resources now. We know of the places, the things, what you can do, how you can move to get you past the anxiety, to get you past the OCD.
And so grabbing onto that, because you flowed really nicely, and I think the barriers you faced as a family, those hopes and dreams, you've gone out, you've put yourself out there and asked for support. Would you say in terms of successes and barriers, or how would you describe the biggest barriers and the biggest successes of the journey so far? The fact that you're still living this, you've experienced it with both of your daughters, your personal health, you and your wife are now creating these amazing resources for other families who may be going through very similar scenarios. What would you say your greatest barriers and your greatest successes have been so far?
So barriers, I'd say there's the ones that are coming to mind right now. One barrier is resources, like you said. When we first got into it, oh my God, you don't know where to turn. You're as a parent, you're going, what do I do about this? And it's hitting you, like with us, it was hitting us so hard that our mind was just overwhelmed and just clogged almost. It was so it was trying to find the resources while it's kind of like you're trying to make a journey, but you keep having a car smash into you as you're driving, let me get back on the road. Oh, it hits me, it's hitting you constantly, and you're trying to resolve it at the same time. So you have the resources as one barrier. And I think, we're starting to finally, I think, overcome that, hopefully, knock on wood. The mind barrier is the second one. It's because you go through the thought process of, what did we do wrong? Did my wife went through the whole, did I do something wrong in birth? And are we doing the right stuff? Are we doing the wrong stuff? Are we doing enough stuff? Are we really screwing up our child? What do people think? The bombardment of questions you go through is just overwhelming. And like I say, at the same time, while somebody's smashing into your car, you're trying to look up, while you're driving, you're trying to look up where to go, what to do, am I going the right path? Is this, you're trying to put all these things into that your computer as maybe we should use it as what's the either Siri, what do you use in the car to to guide you? You're asking
the sat nav. You're going to become a sat nav.
You're going to keep asking, okay, are we going the right direction? And are we doing the right stuff? Is this the right path? And you're waiting for it to tell you, you are doing the right path, turn left at the next light. It doesn't do it. The thing's going, does not compute. I don't know if that was kind of an interesting scenario I never thought of, but that's kind of what the journey is. You're trying to drive towards a cure, to a place of solving it, while cars are smashing into the side of you because it's just bombarding you. while you're still trying to go with Siri or Google or whatever it is, and to get you on the right path and to keep you on the right path, all while you're checking in to see if you're doing the right stuff, and none of it's working very well, wow, that's a pretty interesting scenario. I never thought about it that way, but that's kind of what it was like.
Yeah, and very visual and very relatable for those that kind of like, well, what do you mean? Like, you're turning directions. Everyone can relate to a sat nav who's like, just get me from A to B so I can say
Yeah.
I've got to my final destination. And then when it comes to the reality, it's constant dead ends, isn't it? And so thank you for actually putting that across. That was amazing.
Well, yeah, I think that what is it? My kids used to get a joke out of it. Used to do a lot of recalculating, as you were driving along, and my kids would sit there and just, I'd be driving along and they're going, recalculating, daddy, recalculating, daddy, recalculating, and that's what you're constantly doing, I think, recalculating, trying to figure out the right stuff with.
Yeah. Got our sat nav, we're hitting these brick walls, but you're here to tell the story. You're a survivor of this journey. In the peak moments your health suffered, but actually you're here. You're now, although your greatest barriers were about not having access to these resources and your mindset be constantly sending you to dead ends, what's the successes that have actually come out of the journey so far?
Well, I think the biggest success is I look at my oldest daughter, who, like I said, manages it now, and she still deals with some little bit of some depression, but she actually, I believe, has come out stronger because of it. I don't think she quite has it this way, but in a way, it's kind of like, well, I've been through the hell of that. What, she can kind of handle anything. I don't think she quite realizes that she's that powerful, but she really is. And so that strength that she's come out with, I'm hoping my second child comes out with that same thing too, because she's a very smart, intelligent. They both are very smart, intelligent. They have their good humor, all of that kind of stuff. So I'd say that's one big success out of it. The success of just being here right now after, going through what we went through, the heart attack. I've been through open heart surgery on top of it. My wife has been dealing with some depression because of it. We're still here. That's a success just by itself, that I can still be here talking about it. So, and the fact that we've gotten these resources, that we know a lot of the places to go, a lot of things to do, we're able to give the hope to somebody else, and guide them through a place of roughness.
Yeah,
I think that's a success too.
Oh, I'm sitting here in awe. So again, thank you. I can't praise you enough for actually having the courage to share this personal story, because I know how much it takes to actually go, do you know what, this is my reality, and it hasn't been easy. And you're empowering yourself from those dark spaces, so to say, to go, right, okay, let's serve others, let's embrace this, you've got this beautiful family, and together you're achieving. I don't think you even realize how much you're achieving. So I'm going to take this moment and just praise you as an individual and as a father, because it's easy to praise others and their journeys, but you credit to you as well, and what you've achieved. So I suppose on that, again, to the listeners, what's one bit of advice, or more if you have them, but what advice would you give in terms of wherever their reality is? What message would you like to give them?
Well, I guess first is at the earliest sign of it, if you even think that they're having anxiety issues or OCD, especially OCD, to to seek help. There are resources out there to begin doing something, because the earlier you catch it, I was talking with, I had a therapist I was interviewing yesterday, and she works with children, and we talked about the fact of when they get to be teens and adults, it is a harder step to get them to do the changes they need to do. When they're young, it's much easier to get them to do the things they need to do and change. So catching it as early as possible and starting to take action is very important. And look for those moments of hope. Look for those little spots where things shine, and live on those moments. Let them live in your mind, let them live in your heart, because that'll get you through. That can be the thing to get you through, because the thing, especially about OCD and even anxiety for that matter, it is a type of thing that has hope to being manageable, to having a regular life. And not all of those disorders can be said like that. Like autism, things like that, don't always have the ability to be healed or managed as well as something like OCD does. So there is hope. Wow. And I do want to, just a quick message to God and the universe. I'm ready. This journey's been fun, and glad that we had it and all, but I think it's time to, can we move on? Yeah, just a quick message to God, universe. I'm ready to be good with this.
Yeah. So, okay, taking on that really quickly, then I think that's a really great message to send out to the higher power, so to say. Where would you like, what would mean that you are in the pastors now, you've come through that, or you've got through those really tough times? What would you like, if I spoke to you in a year's time, what would you like to say life has turned into for you?
Oh, that Lexi, my youngest, is managing and having a life, is back to really owning her own life and her own stuff. And that we're helping all kinds of people. We just, we can't keep up with all the business, all the, the people coming to us, all the parents that want to change. That would be my dream.
Well, I think that's a dream that can come true, and you're already providing some incredible resources. And I'll be sure to leave all your details in the comment box below, so that people can connect with you or see where your resources that you're creating are. And just thank you for your time and being open to coming onto A Curious Coach, because I've learned so much. You have inspired me, and just thank you, Donald. Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. You do wonderful work too, and this is the neat thing to inspire people with all the different things you do even within this Curious Coach place. So, thank you. I really appreciate it.